3.
Academy of Art University's Urban Nights update is next. Coming up, a close call for a woman who talks about her rideshare experience.
New life and lessons from an old documentary film.
We'll take a look at celebrities and trends and why we let them influence our lives.
An inside look at the newer sports on college campuses that is growing in popularity. All that and more next on Urban Nights Update.
Hi there, thanks for joining us here at Academy of Art University's Urban Nights Update. Wen Yi Dong is sitting in with me. I'm Taylor Martin, and here's what we're working on. The big question, why? That's what everyone is asking after Saturday's tragic mass shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 11 people were killed inside the temple and 6 were injured. We're finding out today that survivors hid in a dark storage room. The gunman has been identified as Robert Bowers, who was wounded by police and surrendered. A SWAT officer on the scene reported that Bowers said he wanted all Jews to die because they were committing genocide against his people. People across the country have been holding vigils in support of the victims of this latest incident of hate.
Across the country, authorities have stepped up their presence at synagogues around the country. The heightened security is just a precautionary measure. As for the Bay Area, there's no known threats. Nevertheless, security has been tightened up as well. Lots of unanswered questions still after the arrest of Caesar Synagogue. He's suspected of sending pipe bombs to critics of President Trump. In the past week, 12 pipe bombs have been mailed to people such as former President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and actor Robert De Niro. In fact, a suspicious package addressed to CNN was discovered just hours before his court appearance Monday. No one was hurt. Synagogue appears to be a Trump supporter and was arrested after his fingerprint was found on one of the packages. He faces up to 48 years in prison if he's found guilty.
Before entering an Uber, make sure you always match the license plate number on the Uber or Lyft app before getting into any vehicle. Recently, a 40-year-old in San Mateo was arrested after pretending to be an Uber driver and sexually assaulting a female passenger. The man had previously worked for the company but was terminated. But he had kept the Uber sticker on his vehicle anyway. With the help of a Good Samaritan, the female was able to escape the vehicle and call 911. This incident is just one in the latest of news stories about dangers with ride-share programs. Reporter Nicholas Boffman talked with a woman who recently had a close call.
When we were younger, our parents told us not to get into strangers' cars. Nowadays, with apps like Lyft and Uber, we rely on getting into random people's cars just so we can get to places that we need to be.
It was just one of the most creepiest things that has ever happened to me, and I just felt so uncomfortable.
20-year-old Crystal Garcia Lopez was taking her everyday Uber ride when things started turning very weird.
So there was this one moment where I was sitting in the front seat with the Uber driver, and we were having such a good conversation. Everything was going good, but then it just started to get really creepy. He started asking about really personal information, like where do I live, where I'm from, my age, and started making these slight remarks that just made me really uncomfortable. And next thing you know, I started seeing the GPS and it was going a different direction, and I didn't know where we were going and he wouldn't tell me, so I had to get out of the car and I just felt really unsafe.
Crystal was smart and got out early. Who's to say what would have happened if she didn't?
In that moment, I just remembered all the stories that I have heard about Uber drivers and how they kept kidnapped girls and even raped them in the car. And I thought about the moments my parents have talked to me and told me that I have to be aware and not trust every Uber driver I go with.
In the recent years, there's been countless stories of attempted kidnappings out of Ubers. From people being hit by Uber drivers under the influence, sexually assaulted, and even being shot, Uber has had too many stories of dangerous encounters. Some people blame the fact that they don't fingerprint or do background checks on their drivers.
I became an Uber driver because it makes a lot of easy money. So I decided to fill out some paperwork and then I became an Uber driver. I just feel like there should be some more stricter guidelines because know I'm a good person, but I feel like everyone isn't.
More and more incidents with Uber are happening every year. Officials say to stay vigilant and always be aware of your surroundings. They also say if you find yourself in a situation, then you should fight to get out in any way possible and make a lot of noise. These simple tips could save your life. In San Francisco, I'm Nicholas Boffman for Urban Nights Update.
According to CNN, within the past 4 years, over 100 Uber drivers have been accused of sexual assault or abuse.
San Francisco is constantly trying to find new ways to keep its streets clean because the ground is always filled with needles, human waste, and trash. The city has worked alongside bar employees to contain this mess. A new addition, a used needle kiosk at the Civic Center bar station where drug users and dealers tend together. Used needles have been a long-time problem. Academy of Art reporter Taylor Cooley explored the streets of San Francisco to find out more.
Have you ever noticed how dirty the streets of San Francisco are? Have you seen the needles scattered along the sidewalks? I was curious. How did they get there? Why are there so many? And like with anything, there are two sides to every story. I sat down with an officer at the Mission Police Department who did not want to appear on camera.
My name is Sergeant Wayman Young with the San Francisco Police Department, star number 100. Drug users, I would say for the most part, they are safer in San Francisco than any other cities that I know of, at least in the Bay Area. And right on 7th and Market, right across from the Justin Herman Plaza. Right there, they're just doing right now open. There's the 311 app where like you, myself can call in, go, hey, we see needles here, so forth, and they'll go out and clean it.
Drug users are going to places like BART because it's secluded, dark, and warm.
Still.
Don't stop, man.
San Francisco has a needle exchange where drug users can go to places including the San Francisco AIDS Foundation to get clean, new needles. There are syringe disposal boxes all over the city, but it doesn't seem to be enough. In San Francisco, I'm Tara Cooley with your Urban Nights Up.
In San Francisco, 4.4 million needles are distributed each year. The struggle to contain the epidemic continues to be an uphill battle.
A South Carolina convenience store is waiting for the Mega Millions lottery winner to come collect their $1.6 billion prize. The lucky ticket holder has 180 days to come forward. South Carolina is one of the few states that allows their lottery winners to remain anonymous. The little store in Simpsonville that sold the winning ticket will also receive $50,000. With all that money floating around, it begs the question, what would you do if you won $1 billion? Reporter Matt Watkins looked for the answer in Hawaii.
Aloha! If I have $1 billion, I would help kids to get a better education and help my family business, and also to do something that really interested me.
I would buy a nice beach house to my parents so they can live the rest of their lives there. No worries at all. Enjoy their life, and I would just travel the world.
I would get new cars. I would go travel in different countries.
I would probably first prioritize my family first, and then the rest probably give it out to charity and to help the less fortunate in my country.
Speaking of a lot of money, this past week, Michael Jordan dropped $23 million in investment on Team Liquid, an up-and-coming eSports team. The 55-year-old Charlotte Hornet owner is one of the many owners to broaden their horizons into a different world of sports. Axomatic is the organization that is behind Michael Jordan's massive investments into the esports world. Celebrities are not the only ones investing in esports. Academy of Art University is making a name of itself in the world of esports. Amy Smith has the story.
Welcome to ArtU eSports.
That's the voice of Anthony Silva, a commentator for ArtU eSports. The Academy of Art University is one of 60 colleges and universities across the country jumping into the world of esports. At the hands of students wanting a space to learn and enhance their skills, the Game Development Department has created that space. The game room has everything a gamer needs, like low lights, headphones, and computers. Students are ready to take on their opponents in tournaments both at the intramural and collegiate levels. Michael Wenzel, the brains behind esports at the Academy, is here to explain.
Part of esports is you can't go out to a field and watch people play like you can in traditional sports. We have to be able to take what is on the screen in front of our players and give that to an audience to be able to watch and spectate.
ArtU has both varsity and junior varsity teams that play collegiate and intramural games. The school also hosts several tournaments to allow any student that just wants to play that opportunity. The game room is where the teams develop their skills and strategies. They also learn how to communicate, so when they are on the big stage, they are ready. Our university's esports is taking off. It's only been around for 2 years. We may not be nationally ranked just yet, but that's okay because what sets us apart is our studio. The studio is still being built. They have their very own green screen, 2 new big screens. The temporary desk will be replaced with the real set. The broadcasting of esports is a collaboration effort, and the School of Communications and Media Technology jumps in to help. Kevin Tagupa explains why this is an exciting step for ArtU.
Excited that we actually have a facility that allows us to, really bring out the commentators and the rest of the spectators into what we do.
ArtU eSports program is getting noticed around the country for both its level of play and broadcasting. This December, Academy of Art will host what is known as the Battle of the Bay. Nationally ranked schools will be competing in this 2-day tournament. In San Francisco, I'm Amy Smith with your Urban Nights Update.
As a gamer, I really enjoy the space and being able to play a game with my friends. Looking forward to more esports activities here at the Academy.
Esports and esport tournaments are on a continuous rise in today's media world, and so are the live production of them. Monique Nethington sat down with Academy of Art University instructor to learn more about the booming industry.
Hi, I'm here with Steve Cotton, an instructor at Academy of Art University for the esports production class. Thanks for being with me here today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
So what makes the live production of esports different or similar to the production of, say, a regular sports game or any other live event?
Oh, it's very similar. You should think of it as sort of a miniature version of like an NFL football game in a way, where we do not have like 30 cameras covering it. We will have 4 to 6 of our live cameras covering it, but then we might have maybe a dozen of little miniature cameras covering the face of all the players. And it's really storytelling, much like a big sports event. You have winners, losers, the competition, the teams meeting on the field of battle. So it's very similar in our storytelling. The same kind of storytelling rules apply that if you're teaching, how to do a sports broadcast, apply to esports, but a little more in a miniature form.
So you teach the class.
Yes.
What tools do you teach the students to prepare them for a live production, and what tools do you think people coming into the media business should learn, considering esports is really booming right now?
Yeah, esports is just going crazy right now. I mean, there are teams and leagues sprouting up all around the world, and this has become a mega $1-million business. They see it competing with NFL football in the near future. What we teach in the class, because it is so popular right now, we're teaching the skills on how to put together a broadcast like this. And as I said before, it's very similar to producing a live event, and we teach that in our classes as well. We have a COM 302 class which teaches you the basics of how to do a live broadcast. And we teach similar things in the esports. It's how to prepare, how do you do a lineup of a show, what's the flow of the show, how is it going to happen? You know, we have this event and then it leads to another commentator. We have color analysts covering the game and they have to be prepared. There's a lot of preparation. Where do we put the cameras? You know, covering the teams. What prep video can we do? Interviews with the team, you know, to do backstories on the people. It's pretty much the same kind of things that we teach in our live production class, but we're gearing it just for eSports.
So real quick, tell me about the studio you guys are building.
Yeah, we're building a small studio over in 180 New Montgomery, and it's really specifically just for eSports. We find that the game development, the School of Game Development, has an arrangement with the Twitch network, and that we have our own channel. It's called ArtU eSports. If anyone has an account with the Twitch.
So Steve, I'm going to have to cut you off right now, but it sounds great. I'd like to thank you for being here.
Oh, okay.
And back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Monique and Steve. From one gamer's mind to the next, Shyla Miller takes us through the lineup of ArtU Sports.
Thank you and welcome. We have another fun-filled week of your Urbanite sports. First, we'll run over to the women's cross country, head on over to the course and get a weekly update of women's golf, then onto the soccer field to recap women's soccer, then lastly hit the hardwood as the men and women's basketball teams are set to start their season. Let's dive on in. Women's cross country ran the extra mile this past week as they ran in the Triton Classic in San Diego. Both men's and women's did great, but the winner for the women's team is Hasna Karu. She led the women to 6th overall, having her time at 22 minutes and 4 seconds. She claimed first of the 121 runners she raced against. Congratulations to Hasna. Here's what she had to say after her amazing race.
Nights on me, nights on 3. 1, 2, 3, night!
The race was very hard today if we compare with the first one, but we just tried to run together and do the better for win. It was my goal, win today, so I did it. I'm very happy. The goal is to qualify for the nationals, and we have time to be better for 1st of December. I hope we will to qualify all the team for the nationals.
Yep, la semaine.
Yes.
Et un gros bisou à Gas, Pierre, Marion et tous ceux qui sont partis, les Français qui étaient là avant. Vous nous manquez.
Gros bisous.
Now on to the golf course, as women's golf showed who was dominant this past week as they placed 2nd in the Sonoma State Invitational. Anahi Servin and Ellen Watkins tied for their 5th cumulative score of 150 with 6 over par. In the last round, Hawkins scored a solid 76 with 4 above par, and Servin scored a 73 with 1 above par. The Sonoma State Invitational concludes the Urban Knights' very successful fall season. During the Knights' fall season, they gathered 2 second-place finishes and a tournament championship. Urban Knights women golf look to bring the momentum from this season to its upcoming 2019 spring season. Also, men's golf is looking forward to do the same as they finish off their fall season in Hawaii. Onto the soccer field, the Urban Knights women's soccer team is looking to break records. The Knights have 3 games left to break the single season record win in 2011. The last 3 games that are at home are against Hawaii Pacific, Chaminade, and Notre Dame Demure for their senior day. Some of the players shared their thoughts on this season.
The whole team, and including we have a lot of confidence, and I'm excited to see in the future and see what happens.
It felt really good, actually. It was really nice to have that. I wasn't expecting it to go in. I'm used to missing, but it felt really good. It was nice to have that for the team, especially scoring the first goal of the game.
I was actually getting frustrated with myself. I missed so many, and I was just like, just one, please. So when I came in, I was like really happy.
Lastly, the men and women's basketball season is set to take off this week as the women are set to start their season with 2 tough exhibition matches against Santa Clara and then head to San Luis Obispo as they play against Cal Poly. They're looking to improve tremendously from their 7-21 season last year, also with a whole new coaching staff and just about a whole new team. The men's team is keeping its key players from last year as they are looking to carry their momentum from their 12-14 season last year as they set to face off SF State and Sonoma State in the SF State tip-off. That just about wraps up this week's update on your Academy Art Sports. I'm Shyla Miller, signing off. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Shawa. Tents are such a big market part of our culture today, and how much of an impact do celebrities have on this? Ash John is standing up with the roundtable to take a look at this.
Hello, I'm Ash Zhang, and today we have Tara Cooley, Noah Dubbin, and Elijah Smith with me at the roundtable today. So, as we know, with development of social media, celebrity influence our daily lives more and more. And like Kardashian families and some rappers or sports players, people imitate what they do and buy the brands what they wear. So is that positive or negative? What do you guys think about that?
It could be positive and negative. Celebrities and famous people, I feel like, have always been the leaders of society because people turn to them, and they may or may not have the answers, but people trust them for some reason, and that comes down to fashion, to the way they live, and many other aspects of life.
And even if they don't trust them, like Bear was saying, like people still will wear things because of that name. Like for a while there, Kanye was putting rips in garbage bags, and people were wearing them because Kanye had made this, and it was like, I have to wear this because he wears it. And now there's the whole thing, I don't know about makeup or nothing, but the whole Kylie Jenner thing, right?
Yeah.
She's come out with this whole makeup line
Yeah.
that's like, I have to have it. If I don't have it, I'm not anything.
I definitely think that celebrity trends aren't bad when it comes to like fashion or maybe following other things, but I know that now celebrities are using their platform to speak about politics or to speak about other issues, and I think that's where it's really becoming a problem because these people, you know, well, they have a right to speak about it, but sometimes it's like they have a following just of how they feel because they are celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, that comes with being a celebrity, though. People are going to absolutely love you. Well, your fans are going to love you for whatever it is that you do. So if I'm Kanye West and I put out some shoes that look like they belong in my grandma's closet, like, if people are still going to buy them, then one, it's a good marketing technique to actually put a product out there for people to buy. And two, you can't really lose. Like, if you have this big fan base, it's almost your duty to put something out there.
Well, and nowadays
to make
especially,
some money.
yeah. I mean, you see people throw out trash all day, and people are still buying it and buying it and buying it. It's just because of that name.
Not all of it is bad.
Not all of it, yeah, but most of it.
But a lot of it just seems like these celebrities need to put something out there in order to generate themselves some sort of money. Like if you have 1 million followers on Instagram and you find a way to get each follower to give you $2, you've just made $2 million.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they have to find a way.
Yeah, and I think it's also, again, back to the name thing. It's very difficult if you're trying to create something, if you're trying to be on the come up of clothes and such. If you don't have that name, it's really not going to go well for you unless you make really good clothes for yourself, and a lot of people will buy your stuff.
Yeah, and also in other angle, if some young people who didn't have any income, they want to buy the brands like what they wear, is that they will get more a heavier burden for their family. Like
this stuff does not come at a cheap price. How much those new Yeezys cost?
They're like $600 or something like that.
And I think they're atrocious.
They're horrible looking, but people will still buy them. I don't understand how you can buy something that looks like an Easter egg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching Roundtable. Back to you guys.
Thanks for those interesting perspectives. With the updates on new movies in theaters, DVDs, and a special interview from one of our very own Anthony Silva, here's Nicholas Boffman with some of the newest things in entertainment this week.
Thanks, Taylor. There have been plenty of great movies that cover a few different genres this weekend. This week's box office choices gave some really good options. One that really stood out to me was The Hate You Give. A young girl witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood best friend by a police officer. Now she has to testify and stand up for what she knows is right.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing Star to shine today.
Thank you for my family.
That's what I was gonna say.
My name is Star. Garden Heights. Mama and Daddy says our life is here because our people are here. The high school is where you go to get jumped. We don't go there. At Williamson, I'm Star version 2. Until the weekend comes around.
What's up? Star, you okay?
Khalil gone and you still here, trying to make some sense out of it.
You was there, so you gotta tell everybody what happened.
You think anybody else know?
There's an unnamed witness who'll be called to testify in front of the grand jury.
I don't want the whole world knowing that Star is a witness. It's like I have to hide who I am every single day. If I don't speak out, what kind of friend is that?
You can break the cycle. Not everybody got superpowers like you. Shine your light. I ain't named you Star by accident.
Starring Amanda Stenberg, this movie will definitely move you and stir up a conversation. There are a few DVD releases coming out this week. Incredibles 2 is coming to Blu-ray and DVD. It has been one of the most requested DVD release dates this month. Also, Black Klansman and Christopher Robin are finally out on DVD. Many younger adults and kids will never understand the huge impact that the Vietnam War had on the people of the United States. The War at Home is a strong film that shows graphic content of the war not only going on in Vietnam, but also against the United States people. Our own Anthony Silva sat down with the co-director of the documentary.
Hi everyone, I'm with Mr. Glenn Silber, who is the co-director of Academy Award nominee Best Documentary, The War at Home. Mr. Glenn Silber, why did you re-release this documentary now?
So my biggest hope of all is that by bringing the film back now, your age group, the millennials, people even a little bit beyond that, who haven't really seen the film, and when it comes to this rich period of American history, there's really almost no way for you to understand what went on back then, because a book's not going to do it for you. You got to be able to see the visuals, the emotions, the conflict, the drama, and that's what we have in The War at Home. It tells an amazing story.
Well, suddenly all these fine middle-class kids at the University of Wisconsin are being tear-gassed and clubbed.
I'm 20 years old, and I didn't really know the extent of the Vietnam War. So, and you touched on it, but what are you trying to say to our generation as we're all growing up?
I think your generation especially needs to see this film, because, well, number one, it's about the historical memory of the period. That's what our film preserves and shows. It's also about how do you build a resistance campaign? How do you build a resistance movement? And it's not going to happen overnight. You have to start one day at a time, but it could take years, and probably will, to get us out of the jam we're in right now.
Is there a protest maybe today or a movement that you would want to document in today's world?
If you learn anything about the period we talk about, it's that in the 50s and especially the 60s going into the 70s, there was a lot of positive change that empowered people to take a stand, to feel they could make a difference. Sometimes I feel today the issues are so overwhelming, people just kind of throw their hands up, but that's not great. Can't do that. The Parkland kids in Florida sure found theirs after they had to suffer through a tragedy. We don't want to suffer through that many tragedies again. We have to be able to get up and talk about what's right now.
And for those watching, no matter the age, of course, younger demographic in terms of me would want to learn more. What would you want us to take away from this documentary?
And I think that it's time for your generation, as well as my generation still, to come together and not just be separated by our ages or by our generational perspectives. We can learn from you, and I think maybe you can learn something from us.
The War at Home is no longer in theaters as of right now. However, the documentary is always available on Amazon Prime Video. Back to you.
Although The War at Home first came out in 1979, the documentary is still gaining some buzz as it was in certain San Francisco and Berkeley theaters. Many people believe this documentary connects with the issues we are facing now in the United States. That's all we have for the entertainment segment. I'm Nicholas Boffman. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Nick. A lot to check out over the weekend. That's a wrap up this edition of the Urban Nights Update.
For everyone here, thanks for joining us. I'm Winnie Dong.
And I'm Taylor Martin. We'll see you back next time.